Good evening, everyone. We're going to get the July 20th, 2026, 7 p.m. regular board meeting to order. Secretary, call the roll, please.
Reyes,
Here.
Loveshay,
Yes, here.
Moreno,
Here.
Johnson, Cifuentes,
Here.
Valencia,
Here.
Olivas,
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. We have no one that signed up for public comment. Moving on to section 4, communications from the superintendent, Dr. Halverson.
Thank you, Board President Cifuentes. The first item we have tonight is 4B1, and it's the introduction and recognition of our Bilingual Parent Advocacy Committee, or our BPAC organization. So if I could have members of our BPAC please come up to the podium. Come on up. Dr. Guzman, could you come up as well, please? So a little highlight on our Bilingual Parent Association group. Our BPAC Association in East Aurora has been led by Dr. Rita Guzman for the past 9 years. It began as a small group of just 8 parents committed to advocating for the district's English learner families. What began as a modest gathering has grown into one of the district's most vibrant parent engagement activities, with approximately 300 parents now participating in BPAC activities and meetings. The growth reflects both the increasing trust families have placed in the council and the intentional work done to build authentic relationships between schools, parents, and District 131 staff. And as you can see up there, the BPAC mission, their mission is we are a district-wide advocacy group that meets at district schools and advocates for excellence in all programs provided to English learners in District 131. BPAC will strive to provide support and educational information to families of English learners. We offer and foster relationships between schools, parents, and District 131 teaching staff. And I'd like to have Dr. Guzman introduce each member of our BPAC association so we can recognize them. And then we'd also like to see if the BPAC members or the BPAC board had any comments for us. We're very excited about all of our parent association groups that we have, and we're continuing to highlight each parent organization with the intent of our board meeting in August, bringing all of our parent organizations together to talk with our community about all the ways we can get further involved with our parents and our community. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Guzman so she can introduce each one of our BPAC board members.
Absolutely. Good evening. We have Dareli Urbano as our president. We just call her Dareli. Dareli is our president of BPAC, and all of the members were voted in by our parents. We also have Javier Solano, who is our vice president. We have Raquel Munguia, who is part of our board, and we have Gabriela Martinez, who is part of our board, and we have Erika Tavera, who is part of our board, and we have Mayra Puentes. And these are new board members that have been elected by our parents for this coming school year. They will serve for 2 years.
Well, BPAC board, I just want to thank you again for your leadership. Thank you for what you do for our community. Thank you for what you do for our students. And thank you for the opportunity to collaborate and work together. We're very excited about the upcoming year. We're also very thankful for all the hard work that our BPAC organization has put in over the years. Just so we know where we have representation from, could you guys share with us which school schools your children attend or have attended in East Aurora?
¿Qué escuelas ha atendido sus hijos?
Mi hijo está en la high school, va a ser senior. Mi niña mediana va a ser freshman y el pequeño va a ingresar al FERMA.
Awesome. And I just have to highlight, Dareli was a great support as we were going through when we were doing our listening tours for our dual language programming. She was at every event, and I was so thankful to have her there, and she provided a lot of insight as a parent. So thank you very much for being there.
So it all started in Oak Park.
Go Park. But right now, my youngest is in Firma, and my oldest one is in high school.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Solano. Appreciate it.
Está bien.
Ok, solo Dietrich es mi hija y mi hijo en segundo grado y en quinto, perdón. Dietrich, ya.
Thank you so much.
Yo comencé en Dietrich, tengo una hija en Waldo, soy octavo grado y tengo una hija en software, colegio. Mi hijo va para cuarto grado.
Escuela.
En Lale.
Alan, gracias.
Yo tengo 3 hijos, uno ya graduado de Aurora High School y la otra también, y la otra está en la universidad. Y la última que tengo va a entrar a 8 grados de Waldo.
Awesome. Once again, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your collaboration. Thank you for working together with us as a district. As a BPAC board member, is there anything else you wanted to share at all with the Board of Education?
¿Algo más que quieran compartir?
Javier?
I'll stand over here and talk. So I'm just very thankful. I'm very thankful. I want to thank Dr. Halverson, Dr. Guzman, Rita Guzman. She's very, very helpful with our group. We have very high hopes for this year. We are very excited. I know that we're going to be working with the African American Association parents. So very excited. And I'm just glad that you all got to see us and finally meet BPAC. You know who BPAC is now. Thank you.
Well, and that's a very valid point for Mr. Solano there. We need to make sure we have a lot of parent groups that are wanting to get further involved and have been involved. So we want to make sure we're making the opportunity for our community to connect with them, for the community at large to see the faces with the names, because that is going to be a next step for us, is to continue to get further involvement in BPAC, AAPA, EA Dads, Watchdogs, our parent association for our special needs programming. So we're going to make sure that we're really being intentional this year about highlighting our parent groups individually and together, so we can look at you guys as the individuals that parents can connect with beyond just our parent mentors, because I think it's important to build that bridge. So thank you very much for your years of service. For those of you guys that are new to the BPAC board, thank you for jumping on board with it. We're very excited to have you. And once again, thank you for coming to join us this evening. Have a great one. Next, I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update. And for those of you that were here during our curriculum committee meeting, we talked a little bit about our summer graduation overview. Last Wednesday, we had the privilege of celebrating an important milestone as we honored 97 summer graduates from East Aurora High School's class of 2026. With these graduates, the class of 2026 now totals 816 graduates, and we could not have been prouder of their accomplishments. This summer's graduation ceremony was held at Aurora University, which provided a wonderful setting for our graduates and their families to celebrate this special achievement together. As we talked about earlier, we had a full house there, so we are analyzing beyond not 2027, but 2028. We may look to bring summer graduation back in-house just because we're struggling to get enough seats there. 2027, we cannot do that yet because we have ongoing HVAC projects at the high school. But on behalf of the entire East Aurora District 131 Board of Education and the school district as a whole, we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations to those students for your hard work. And once again, thank you to all of our staff that was there to support as well. Mr. Martin's team, you guys did a phenomenal job. Miss Williams was up there emceeing, and she did a great job with that. So just thank you very much for taking part in that celebration for our kids. A lot of our summer graduates overcame additional obstacles as they got to their graduation. So we're super proud of the hard work they put in, the dedication they put in, and the fact that they had a no quit mentality and are now on to greater and better things in life as they graduate East Aurora. So thank you again for that opportunity. And the final thing I have on my superintendent's report tonight is we have the FY27 budget timeline and initial overview. This will be led by Dr. Michael Engel, but there will be contributions from members of the executive cabinet as well. So this is going to go a little bit beyond our typical presentation just because we do have a lot of information to share. So this will probably be about a 20 to 25-minute presentation as we're going through this evening. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to Dr. Engel.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Tonight we're going to be going through the FY27 preliminary tentative budget. So we can go to next slide. So the district has been working with Dr. Grossi of Illuminate Financial. Dr. Grossi brings almost 40 years of experience and school expertise, and he's worked with hundreds of school districts in the state of Illinois and is very qualified. This is our consultant. He's made a few recommendations, and these are in kind of particular order, but the red one in the middle is of kind of the most importance, if you will. Identify the operational efficiencies within the budget as the first major step is slowing expenditure growth. Urgently focus on right-sizing the budget to adjust for declining enrollment trends. Make major financial decisions with a clear focus on fiscal stability. Carefully consider future capital projects and fund balance reserves as they decline. Continue to monitor and make financial decisions with regular financially projections that are updated to ensure long-term fiscal stability. With all this being said,
Dr. Engel, I'm going to pause you real quick.
Yeah.
Board members, just as an FYI, this is a very lengthy presentation. So if Dr. Engel has his Chief School Business Officer license, but if there's questions that come up as we're going through, please let us know because we'll pause in between. We won't hold for questions at the end. So if there's something that maybe needs to be simplified a little bit for the general public to completely understand because this is a fiscal document, please let us know with that. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Engel.
absolutely. So with all this being said, this will be the guidance going forward for the FY27 budget. Next slide. So up here is the timeline. As you can see, we gave a budget, the tentative budget timeline presentation back on July 6th. Tonight, we're going through the actual FY27 budget for the full board. We can do a resolution to adopt the FY27 budget, the 5036 budget. In July, we're going to continue to refine and update the FY27 budget. We should be getting some finalized grants that are going to be coming in, so we'll actually have actual numbers there. Also, that first or second week in August, we'll get the additional updates from the state, so we'll actually have updated evidence-based funding. We'll know exactly what we're going to be getting. On the August 10th, we're going to present the tentative FY27 budget to the Board of Education on that same night. The budget will be on public display for 30 days, and there'll also be a legal notice published for a hearing that's going to be in the newspaper. So there will be a public hearing. This is 30 days or post 30 days on 9/21, so it'll be September 21st. We'll have the public hearing, and then on September the 21st, the same night, we'll have the board meeting to approve the FY27 budget. Any questions on the timeline?
I do.
Yes.
So what is it? You said 720 resolution to adopt the tentative budget. So what does that mean?
So it's a resolution basically stating that we went over it. We could either do it on the 20th or on that August 10th. It's just stating that no more changes are going to be made to it when it's on public display. It's a resolution.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on it tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Dr. Engel, and the reason we have to do it by on the August 10th date is so that way it's out there publicly for the right amount of days.
It'd be on for public display for 30 days.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, next slide. All right, so ahead up here is the FY27 revenue summary by fund. These are all projections here. So please keep in mind that's the revenue projection, that all the information and the financial information will be provided at a later time by the state and federal sources like I mentioned prior. Typically, this is released like the second week in August. So you can see the highest amount there is in our educational fund. We are budgeting right now a little bit over $200 million of revenue coming in at 75.4%. Operations and maintenance fund at 18.5, which will make up 7% of all revenue. Debt service at 12.4. Transportation at a little bit more than 21 million. IMRF and Social Security at 7.4. And capital projects at $5 million. Working cash at $1 million. And tort at $150 and fire prevention at $6,000. And those are nominal amounts to keep that fund going and during the levy process. So you can see total revenue there of $265,650,650. Any questions so far? All right, next slide. This is a visual representation of the prior slide. Please notice that 75% of all of our funding is going to the educational fund. It makes up more than 75%. Buildings and grounds at 7%. You can see our long-term debt there at $12.4 million. It's just vast majority, over 3/4 of our funding is going directly into the ed fund. The other funds are much smaller.
Dr. Anger, can you clarify for the public, what does that mean, educational fund?
Sure, educational fund. So that is our direct instruction, our indirect instruction for students, staff members. That's our salaries, our payrolls that are in there, any type of supplies, materials, anything educationally related for both indirect and support staff as well for the educational process. I can go through buildings and grounds as more custodial based, our buildings, maintenance, et cetera, utilities for each and every building. Okay. All right, next slide. So this is our visual breakdown here between our revenue sources. So look at it as three big kind of pots. We have our local funds, we have state sources and federal sources. If you look at, you can see that, 70% of our funding is coming from the state. About 22% is locally made up and about 9.5% from the Fed. So again, that breaks down that $265 million mark. So with that being said, if looking at local funds, that's $62 million versus the 60.2. So in essence, we could have had $62 million, and I'll explain this on the next slide. The state funding has also changed. The district went from a tier 1 to a tier 2 school district. The key point is that the district will receive less in evidence-based funding each and every year as compared to a tier 1 district. When the district was tier 1, it received about $6.5 million in new funding each and every year compared to $2 million in funding being a tier 2 school district. Chicago Public Schools in FY26 went from a tier 2 to a tier 1, displacing 78 school districts out of tier 1 and tier 2 funding, East Aurora being one of them. Out of all the districts, all 78, 42 of them were LUDA districts that were displaced, and there was nothing that the district could have done to prevent this from happening. Federal funding, you'll see the reduction in federal funding grants. There's no more ESSER funding. It ended in FY25, and this will be highlighted again at a later slide that affects both the state and federal grant funding for the district. So next slide here. So we're going to go through local funding as being our first kind of pot of funds that come into the district. The district has a few primary local funding sources, including tax dollars, corporate personal property tax. The district is using the prior year's actual numbers for this calculation as it fluctuates from year to year. Also earned interest. This is the amount of interest that's earned over the year. And lastly, our miscellaneous revenues, small amounts that are from donations, fees, and et cetera that are collected. The impact to local revenue is approximately $4.3 million as earned interest. And about $300,000 is collected from miscellaneous revenues.
Dr. Engel, could you share how we earn interest on our funds there?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we have a thing called fund balance. This is the amount of money that's in our account that's sitting there being, that's there for use, that's being invested as we are between accounts payable runs, between payrolls. And so on average, earned interest has been as low as about 3.8% and as high as about 4.2%. And right now we're at 4.3 when we're anticipating about $4.3 million worth of interest earnings over the course of FY27. For sure. The next thing I want to talk about is tax abatements. Okay. These are taxes that the district collects and then decides to give back to the community to help lower the property tax bills. And one other thing that I want to talk about is under levying. When the district, the definition of it is when the district does not use its full taxing authority, and I'm going to give an example. Let's say the district can levy up to $45 million in taxes, but chooses to only levy at $43 million. This $2 million difference can never be made up, and the district will continue to lose $2 million each and every year, plus the consumer price index going forward. As you can see, the foregone revenue there, the tax abatements have cost the district $6.4 million, and under levying since 2008 has cost the district over $15 million. Next slide, please. So this is the impact to local funding. On that far left-hand side, you'll see the levy year and then the CPI, the consumer price index. This is the cost of goods from one year to the next and the percent increase from one year to the next. I like to think of it as the cost of goods. So think of groceries, gasoline from one year to the next. CPI is tracked by the federal government and used when calculating how much additional taxes can be levied by a school district. And it uses a specific month being December. There are minimums and maximums to the CPI, 0% being the minimum and 5% being the maximum without a truth in taxation hearing. The next slide or next column there is the foregone levy. The foregone levy is what the district did not levy for, even though it had the ability to do so. When the district forgoes the levy, it can never recapture that amount ever again. Absolutely.
So on that note, we don't want to overtax the residents, but I guess we can levy the full amount, but then I know we've been abating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we could have done, I guess.
We have been abating, and we have also since 2008, because these were the financial records that I went back through.
Right.
We have traditionally under levied, and we under levied for a few years there. You can see from 2014 to 2018 quite regularly.
Okay.
So, and to kind of go through my example here, that foregone levy amount, okay, it's cumulative each and every year. So you lose it that year, plus then you lose it the next year, plus the consumer price index on top of it. So it's a continuous loss cycle, if you will, each and every year compounds.
And why that's important? Is it because it affects how much money we get from the state?
It affects why is it important? It affects us funding, our mechanism for funding. And biggest part is that when we forego a tax levy and do additional abatements, the district has less resources available to it.
Okay.
But Board Member Lofshy, that's not state funding. That's the local tax dollars at this point. So this is all related to local, not related to the state funding whatsoever.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We're trying to spin this very negatively. That's not really the case. So years back, when the subdivision was built by the community, I think that you actually live in, Judd, that subdivision basically stopped because of high taxes. There was no more real estate development. The Caroline community wasn't being built because the taxes were so high. So the school district needed to do something to have the growth continue. And the only section that really was having new homes built. So, the residents came and complained, and we did work that out. Yeah, the interest compounds, but I also want to remind everybody that today on a house that's $300,000 in value, and that's the majority now of the houses, because inflation is very high, so the houses are worth a lot more. We are saving about $1,100 that are going into our parents' and our families' pockets. We also got a lot of growth. What is hurting the district is not necessarily the residential taxes, it's the TIF districts. And that is what's been actually hurting the district. So, we do need to update how much the TIF districts are actually costing us as well. Because basically, the district has the whole downtown area is not really generating any taxes. It's also interesting to note that the majority of city services are kept on the east side of Aurora. So like the water treatment plant, the large post office, Rivers Edge Park, the Paramount, the city hall itself. The list goes on and on and on. So this community is definitely landlocked. So that's why the district used to try to create growth and try to get people to move in. And they did generate a lot of taxes out in the Chatham Grove community out in Ward 3, which was at a stop as well, and also the Stonegate Caroline community. And there was quite a bit of new homes being built also in the Marywood subdivision. So our outskirts of our district kind of grew, but we had to help those residents with that growth because the property taxes were the highest. But I don't really recall that going back to 2008. It was more, I think, maybe 10 or 11, but hard to tell. I can't remember. Been too long.
Board Member Johnson, I think that's a good point as far as the tax increment financing and look at our TIF districts as well. I think that's
TIF
something that we,
districts are
yep, and I
definitely
think that's something we can take a look at for sure. We need to highlight moving forward as well, just to look at the impact that is having on our district for sure. Those are obviously decisions that we're not making as a school board or superintendent,
school
but
board could never
yep.
make those decisions, you know. So unfortunately, we got stuck and we got landlocked.
And
So it's
we-
been a tough battle, but
definitely thank you for bringing that up.
you know, still good to see that our residents can save about $1,000 a year in their real estate taxes versus the west side of Aurora. Definitely helps our families. So
Okay,
that's
with
the
that-
other side of the equation.
With that being said, you can see the total foregone over that time period from 2008 through 2026 is over $15 million. So then the abatements were 6.4. So total, this has cost the district in $21.4 million in funding. And this is very specific local funding. This does not include any type of state funding or any type of federal funding. This is all very local funding.
Dr. Engel, and just for clarity purposes, abatements do not compound, but levies, the under levying does compound, correct?
That is absolutely
Okay.
correct. So the abatement itself is the district can levy the money and then abate, meaning giving back as a tax relief or tax discount to property tax. And keep in mind that this is just not homeowners' property tax bills. This is everybody's tax bill. This is commercial, light industrial. This is across the gamut.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, I think, some poor advice from a prior bond council a long time ago,
Yeah.
many years ago.
Definitely. I think, and you can see once we got to 2018, we stopped with the majority of the under levying at that point in time. It was really abating at that point in time. But yeah, to your point,
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, it's definitely something that we just, have to take a look at to see where we'd be at without that at this point in time. Thank you.
Okay, next slide. So as mentioned prior about the state funding, evidence-based funding, this again, the district went from tier 1 to tier 2 in fiscal year 2026, and most likely will stay in tier 2 for FY27. With this being said, the district will only see a small increase in evidence-based funding, approximately $2 million, rather than the $6 to $7 million it would have received in tier 1. The district's also in its third year of repayment of 5 years for a transportation claim payment that was made in error to the district. The district had received approximately $30 million in 2023. That's being repaid back to the state from 2024 through the 2028-2029 school year. The district found the error and brought it to the State Board of Education's attention. The district was very fortunate to be able to work and negotiate a 5-year repayment rather than all at once, which is typical for the state of Illinois. By doing so, over the 5 years, the district was able to earn interest on the $30 million, which has helped the district's revenue. However, the repayment is also costing the district several $1,000,000 each and every year that could be earmarked for educational purposes. So you can see on top of that, there's also repayment going back to the state. Next slide. So this is a very powerful and telling slide as it shows the state and federal grants from fiscal year 2025 through 2027. The first column on the left lists all of the state and federal grants that the district receives. Each subsequent column to the right is what it actually received by each fiscal given year. As you can see from the federal grants, they're decreasing while the state grants have been remaining flat. So for FY25, the district received almost $23 million. For FY26, the district received $18.3 million. And for FY27, the district is anticipated to receive approximately $16.5 million in funding.
Dr. Engel, so taking a look there at some of the state grants versus the federal grants, obviously the state grants, the pre-K grants or early learning grants are all state grants. Those have stayed stagnant for how many years now? Because if you look across from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 27, you can see $2.9 million in the early childhood preschool for all 0-0 grant, and it stays the same in 27. So the good news is it's not going down like some of our other federal grants are. But can you just kind of educate the board and the community on kind of those grants as a whole and how we use them, please?
Again, I was able to go back to 2008, and those numbers were identically the same as they are now. They have not kept up with the cost of inflation or any type of escalator from 2008 to current. I don't know exactly when they were put into place. I did not go back further than 2008. But again, the cost of everything since 2008 has obviously gone up. It's been almost 20 years, yet the funding from the state has remained absolutely flatlined.
And that is one of the things I believe the state's taking a look at now, where the state funding model is actually going to go under the governor's office as opposed to under the Illinois State Board of Education. So we just don't know what that impact's going to have for this next fiscal year or the following one yet, correct?
Absolutely. And the other thing too is there's not a secured financial funding model yet for it, which is going to be kind of interesting to see how that all comes about, especially going through the governor's office versus the State Board of Education.
So that'll be something for us to continue to keep an eye on as a school district and as a board, just determining, because we know that early learning is definitely important to us, to our community, and it's a valuable resource that we have to have, but we're just going to have to be uber cognizant of every dollar we spend there, especially if that doesn't increase as far as the funding model. Because if we don't receive additional funds, obviously when a teacher's salary goes up, when a paraprofessional's, when an administrator goes up, we need to pay them to make sure that we're paying them a living wage, but that's not incorporated in the grant. So that does come out of local dollars at that point in time.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up. You see a lot of what used to be kind of fully sustained programs that were running through the grant are now being supplemented with additional district funds, being virtually kind of local funds now supplementing state and federal programs when it should have been the other way around. So it's kind of interesting. It's a backwards approach.
That's my microphone. Something we'll continue to monitor, and especially when we get our grant dollars, we're going to look in future years to continue to pay personnel out of grants as much as possible, because that is something that we can project out at that point in time and then bring materials back into local.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay. Next slide. So this slide shows the expense summary by fund. In the education fund, it's expected to be almost $213 million or 78.1%. Operations and maintenance is expected to be $18.2 million. Debt service at 13.75. Transportation at just a little bit over $20 million. Social Security and IMRF at $7.3 million. So these are all broken out. So you can see our expenses there are going to be $272,439,790. Capital projects down there on the bottom is separated out because if you'll remember back in 2024, the district went out for lease certificates on the amount of $15 million. And these are going to be used towards capital projects that are happening over at the East High School for the HVAC project phase 2 and for phase 3. FY25, but it was done in 2024. Fiscal year 25, but it was in 24. Yeah. Just the other way around. Okay. And you can see that it accounts for $9 million or 3.3% of total expense. Any questions? Next slide. So this is the visualization there. You can see the expense by fund. You'll notice that the chart there on the left, the pie chart, that you can see most of our funds, again, are going in the educational fund. It's our biggest fund by far, followed by buildings and grounds and a little bit of debt service there. The capital projects is on the upper right-hand corner there. It's at $9 million. It's its own funding source and its own budgetary that's already earmarked and allocated for phase 2 and phase 3 of the HVAC project over at East High. Any questions? Okay, next slide. So this is the expense summary by object. So this will break it down. This is across all funds. So you could see $140 million or approximately 51.4% goes towards salaries, $38.5 million, 14.2% towards benefits, purchase services at $51.6 million or 19%. Our supplies and materials at $14.9 million at 5.5%, capital outlay at 1.2 or 0.5% of our total budget. And then other objects, including special education and our bond payments at $24.5 million at 9%, then non-capital outlay at $1.4 million. So again, you can see our total there at $272.4 million. Next slide. Again, this is a visual breakdown, as you can see there on the upper left-hand pie chart. Salaries are more than half the district's budget, followed by benefits. They're that big orange piece of the pie. Together, they make up over 2/3 of the total district's budget. Again, capital projects is separated out because of its own funding source from the lease certificates that were issued. Next slide. So this is a trend summary of the staff and student enrollment. So the trend data here it's very important. As you'll see, the student enrollment has declined by over 17% from 2018 through 2025. Staff has increased by 3% during the same period, and this has been attributed to the high school block schedule and the following positions: student trackers, data analysts, behaviorists, math specialists, reading specialists, social workers. What this graph doesn't illustrate is the dozens of overloads that the high school block schedule has created. And trends like this are not sustainable, nor are they fiscally responsible. Any questions on this slide?
Real quick point of emphasis, if you look right around, fiscal year 21 to 22 there, you've got to remember that we had students returning to us after COVID. So there were a lot of wraparound services that were provided. So the need to add staff at that point in time to make sure we're supporting our students as they came back in from a different learning environment was definitely necessitated. But that continuous level of staffing, as Dr. Engel stated, is not fiscally responsible moving forward. And that's why we took some of the steps that we took earlier this year when we looked at the amount of retirees, and he's going to highlight that in a slide to come here.
Absolutely. So the next slide. So this is the post-COVID hiring. As you'll notice, these are the positions that cost the district several $1 millions. They're no longer sustainable due to the federal COVID funds have ended in 2025. As highlighted previously, the amount of FTE, again, is not sustainable going forward, and that model is not going to be working. This needs to realign with our student enrollment and student needs. So
one thing to highlight there, when we say reading specialists and math specialists, because if we have educators in the room, I'm sure, and principals that are sitting back there, we're not saying that we're getting rid of math specialists or reading specialists by any means, but it's just something we need to analyze as far as the amount that we have. So just because it's up on the board there does not mean we're doing away with a program or we're doing away with the support. It might just mean that we have to change the amount of FTEs we have allocated towards that.
Correct. To match student needs as well. That's the other important part. Okay, next slide. So this is the trend summary. So this is a very interesting slide. So this is the trend summary from 2018 through 2026. And the dark blue is purchase services, and that kind of orange color is supplies and materials. And these were all taken out of the Ed Fund for those particular years. So for FY26, the superintendent's office mandated that we reduce supplies and materials expenditures by 10%. Okay. Let me repeat that. A 10% decrease was mandated. We ended up doing a 38.5% decrease in FY26. That's a huge reduction. This is not from a reduction of opportunity, but rather from duplication of services. In FY26, we saw a 1% decrease in purchase services. And we saw, you can see the trend there in purchase services was increasing by 9% annually. And also in FY26, we saw a 38% decrease in supplies and materials. Right, we kind of bucked the trend, if you will. This is helpful in the district is trying to realign spending to enrollment and correctly right size during that time period.
What are the big 30 million in purchase services? What is that? What is the bulk of that, would you say?
A lot of purchase services are going to be
temp agencies.
Temp agencies. Some of our special ed staffing are. We're going to get into another slide there on some of the positions that we have brought back in house that used to be kind of third party purchase services. Well, that'll be coming up as well.
Some other heavy ones, Board Member Lachey, that Dr. Amy Engel could highlight goes towards our assessment platforms and some of those things. So I can let her highlight a little bit of those as well.
I think one of the things that you said that really stood out to me, Dr. Engel, was the duplicative services. And I think post-COVID, we were trying to do everything we could to support the students with whatever they needed in order to get them back to where they were prior to COVID. And upon doing a deeper analysis of those, one perfect example would be MAP as a platform benchmark, iReady as a platform benchmark, iExcel as a platform benchmark. 2 of those offer personalized learning. all of which serve a very similar purpose. And that was part of our analysis this spring and our redirection to look at where can we really do these, what can we cut, and we were able to reduce costs by $300,000 just through alignment there. Please note, we're not going to be able to do that everywhere all the time, right? That there's no magic to that. Eventually, the duplicative services will all be gone. So, but we will continue to do what we can without sacrificing the great service that we can provide to our students with the equipment and the tools that we truly need.
Another prime example of that, for those of you that were here for the curriculum committee meeting earlier today, we had partnered with an outside entity when we were doing our school improvement planning for the last 2 years, going into last summer as well. This summer, because we had already had that baseline set, we had all the training that was there. Our own school leadership and learning department led that, so that saved us roughly $430,000. So we're just looking for opportunities. We have a lot of expertise within our four walls here, so we're looking for opportunities that we can put that expertise to use and cut costs in that way as well, not impact the experience for our students or our staff.
Okay, next slide, please. So for FY27, we did some cost measuring or some cost saving measures. But before we get to that left-hand column there, I just wanted to talk about some of the budget reductions that aren't reflected that we already started for FY26 by not filling positions that were in reduction force of 9 data analysts that happened and prior to for the FY27. So actualized cost savings, if we look at retirees and non-replacement of retirees, so we had a bunch of retirees this last year that are not replaced. So it's about $7.135 million in cost savings there. Also from an administrative side, we saw a $670,000 reduction as well. Data analyst at $400,000 and student trackers at $400,000. So total about $8.6 million.
Dr. Engel, just to clarify too, those are steps that we took this year in preparation for fiscal year 27, which starts July 1st of this next year, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So projected cost savings, and again, this is alternative funding. This is measures for this year and going forward. One of the moves was moving from Hub to the CLIck program. This is for our liability and workers' comp. There's about a $500,000 savings there. Again, moving away from Hub and going to Gallagher for healthcare. Right now, there's just so far a guarantee of $425,000 in savings, and that was just due to brokerage costs. We will be getting back our renewals here from Gallagher. I'm hoping in the next 7 to 10 days, and we look forward to additional saving opportunities there as well. So one of the bullet points I want to highlight is this next one, and this was the outside paraprofessionals. So these were some of the third-party kind of purchase services that we were paying for to help out with some of our special needs students and help support. So we had about 30 paras that were outsourced, and one of our goals was to bring those all back in the house within 3 years, 10 a year, if you will. So each one had a potential cost saving about $20,000 a person by bringing them back in house. And we were actually, instead of doing 10 a year, we're actually to be able to bring back all 30 in 1 year for FY27. So that generated about $600,000 in cost savings.
That is one thing I want to highlight, that we've talked about the collaboration amongst departments between the finance, HR department, student services department. The only reason we're able to do that is because we have built it out where all those departments are collaborating regularly. We're having regular meetings and we're planning that out. Shameless plug, July 23rd from 4 to 5:30 p.m. is when we have our on-site paraprofessional fair. So anybody in the community that would like to come, or if you know anybody that would like to come, it'll be right here in this building. We'll have the opportunity to bring people on within a couple weeks there and be ready for the school year. So shameless plug for that, but that is something that was very intentional through collaborative working relationships with the various departments there.
The next one was EA Squared. That had a cost savings of approximately $320,000. And again, going back, bringing on outside speech and language pathologists, we were able to bring back in, was it 3 or is it 4 now? 3, I want to say. 4? We could be at 4 already. Again, about $200,000 in cost savings. So in-house resources, this is a mix. This is a blend between 2 different sources. We saw about $400,000 in savings by doing our HVAC projects in-house, has to do with buildings and grounds and being able to swap out the filters that we have for our HVAC systems. And also, there's about $400,000 in savings with our school improvement planning and professional development as well. So some of the competitive grants there that you see there, we were able to get $1.35 million in competitive grants. $350,000 was secured for a secure vestibule at the high school, another $500,000 for HVAC at the high school, and another $500,000 for the high school auditorium roof. Also, the partnership with the AEAF for $120,000 for the scoreboard at the high school. And again, the project maintenance grant through the Illinois State Board of Education at $50,000 there. So in total, an additional $4.1 million in change was being able to brought in for this FY27 year as well. Any questions on that? Okay, next slide. So these are some future cost saving measures that we're looking into. Again, it's the alignment of staff to student enrollment, outside lease agreements, departmental and administrative FTE. We're looking at building utilization assessment, additional competitive grants. We're also looking at best practices for bids and RFPs and RFQs, program reviews and adjustments, the countywide sales tax, which is rather interesting, our departmental efficiencies, retirement incentives, and again, HVAC energy audits that we're working with ComEd for the building for the commission of HVAC.
And these are all levers that could be pulled, not necessarily will be pulled. So these are things that we can come to the board and say, here's some potential cost savings and what we could do. But just because it's up there doesn't mean it's something we're instantly doing, but we just wanted to make sure that we were putting the options out there for the Board of Education as well as the community. But it doesn't mean because it's up there that it's something we're absolutely doing. These are just talking points as we look at FY27 and beyond to look at how we can get to a balanced budget moving forward for continual years.
Next slide. So as you can see here, the total district revenues are estimated to be $265.6 million. Total expenditures are at $272.4 million. And again, I'm going to go back to the beginning where Dr. Grossi projected our non-capital deficit would be approximately $12.5 million. The district's estimated deficit right now is at $6.8 million. We've been working diligently to reduce that deficit by almost half, by being strategic and aligning with student enrollment. The district will continue to use Dr. Grossi's 5 recommendations as guidance going forward. Are there any questions?
So I'm not a school, expert school finance, but I would just say my gut tells me that the block scheduling cost us millions, right? Not only with FTE, transportation, right? I mean, what's the reality of looking at that and changing it?
Board Member Lashy, I think that's a good question. I think that's one of the areas we need to look at for sure. As Dr. Engel said earlier in the presentation, not only is it FTEs, but we also paid a severe amount in overloads to make sure we could staff that appropriately. You have to remember when we went to block scheduling, we were roughly around 4,000 students at the high school. When we look at our projected numbers for next year, we're probably closer to 2,800. So the need to block like that is probably not necessary. Some of the reasons we did that was to limit mobility, to make sure we had less truancy rates, et cetera. But with a smaller school size and potentially going back to a house type model, we can eliminate the need to block. So that is something we're going to continue to look at. Also on top of that, when you look at our middle school model right now, we definitely have the middle school model set up, but we can look at how our teams are built out there to see if we can be more efficient with that. Part of the reason we didn't dive into those things this last year is we had to take a look at our dual language programming first and look at exactly what our community and our parents wanted for their children. We were able to save some positions when we looked at that. So those are all the various levels of staffing, because as Dr. Engel talked about, roughly 68% of our expenditures are on salary and benefits. So we do have to look at how we can be more efficient, but we want to make sure that we're not impacting our students in their seats as much as possible.
I have a question.
Yes.
Could you guys tell the audience why the students are decreasing? I know I've seen a lot of them make faces from 4,000 to 2,800 just so they could be
Yeah,
So
that's
they can know what's
Yeah.
going on in the district, please.
Board Member Moreno, that's a great question. There's numerous factors that play into that. If you look at the timelines nationally, so if you look at, there's national studies out there. There was one that I was talking with a board member about previously. It was out of the New York Times. It's not just specific to Aurora. It's not just specific to Illinois. Throughout the country, birth rates are down substantially. When you look at it, a lot of people chose to have children later in life. Or chose to not have as many children just because of fiscal reasons or personal choice. On top of that, you have to remember that we have a large migrant population that traditionally has moved into our boundaries. That has started to cease because of the current political climate nationally right now. So we haven't had as many move-ins. And quite honestly, when you look at the state of Illinois as a whole, the trend for the past 10 years is there's been more people moving out of the state than moving into the state. So when you combine all of those things, that's a perfect storm. It's not because we're doing anything wrong in East Aurora, or it's not because as a Board of Education over the years we've done anything wrong, or as a superintendent we have. It's just a litany of factors that came together at a unfortunate time. But the fortunate thing for us is there's a lot of districts that are having an increase in enrollment in some areas while having downward trends in their fiscal resources and what's coming in. They're in a lot tougher spot than we are. We're actually in a spot where we can right size without impacting our kids so much. So because we have declining enrollment and declining revenue, we have to be fiscally responsible. We're in a much better spot than maybe a district that had increasing enrollment with decreasing revenue. But great question. Did I answer that? Or to the community out there, does that make sense as far as the rationale as to why?
Because I know last meeting somebody spoke about how like we're always talking about doing this and this and this, but we don't explain what's going on. You know,
Yep.
we're
Great
talking about
point.
how we're in debt, but a lot of people are why if everyone's packed, you know, but they don't know what's going on. So that's why going back to the last person that spoke, I just want to just keep them informed, because obviously I don't know what was going on, but we weren't informing them on those type of things.
Sure.
We just kept on going, cool, we're approving this and this and this, but knowing that, a lot of people are shy. When we're in school, we're shy to ask questions, but now as adults, we can fix that,
Definitely.
So I just want to, just for moving on forward, just doing that.
No, great
But thank you.
question. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify for the community. I appreciate that.
And to add a little bit more input to that as well, it goes back to also birth rates, but the trend is we did do a demographer study, and the trend is for at least the next foreseeable future, a declining enrollment for at least the next 10 years before it stabilizes out again. So we'll be seeing this kind of downward trend in enrollment for a while. Next slide. That's the end. Any questions? Sorry.
What board members, I know we provided the opportunity to ask questions we were going through, and it was a lot of information. What additional questions do we have for Dr. Engel? And if we don't have any at this time, we will have the opportunity to further go through these presentations in the future, because we do have to come forward for the resolution on August 10th, and then it'll be posted publicly. So we do have plenty of time for continued questions, but I want to make sure we answer any additional ones now if you have them as well.
No.
And Board President Fuentes, that concludes my report this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to section 5. Motion to approve the following consent agenda as listed. So moved.
Second,
Any questions? Secretary, call the roll, please.
LaShay,
Yes.
Moreno,
yes.
Johnson,
Present.
Olivas,
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Cifuentes,
Yes.
Reyes,
Yes.
All right, do we have any introductions? Okay.
Wonderful. Go first.
Oh, I think I am now. First, we are pleased to announce the promotion of Ms. Maritere Wise to serve as principal of Gonzalez Child Center. Ms. Wise has proudly served East Aurora School District 131 for the past 15 years, beginning her career as a bilingual preschool teacher before advancing to preschool instructional leader, and most recently, assistant principal at O'Donnell Elementary School. Throughout her career, she has demonstrated a deep commitment to early childhood education, instructional excellence, and building strong relationships with students, families, and staff. As an instructional leader, Ms. Wise has led school improvement initiatives focused on literacy, attendance, social emotional learning, and family engagement, while supporting staff through coaching, professional development, and collaborative data analysis. She earned her bachelor's degree in early childhood education from the University of Puerto Rico and her master's degree in educational leadership from North Central College. Fluent in both English and Spanish, Ms. Wise brings a collaborative leadership style, a strong understanding of early childhood programming, and a passion for ensuring every young learner has a strong foundation for success. Felicidades, Maritere. And last but not least, we are pleased to announce the promotion of Ms. Stephanie Evanson to serve as Dean of Students at East Aurora High School. Since joining East Aurora High School in 2019, Ms. Evanson has distinguished herself as a dedicated educator and advocate for students. As an AP seminar teacher, she has worked closely with multilingual learners, partnered with families, and helped ensure all students have equitable access to rigorous learning opportunities. Beyond the classroom, she has served on the school leadership team, facilitated professional learning for staff, and built meaningful relationships with students through extracurricular activities and mentorship. Ms. Evanson recently completed her master's degree in educational leadership at Aurora University after previously earning a master's degree in curriculum and instruction and a bachelor's degree in English education. Through her administrative internship at EAHS, she gained valuable experience in instructional leadership, school improvement, crisis planning, and student support. Her commitment to relationships, belonging, and student success, combined with her deep knowledge of the East Aurora community, make her well prepared to begin her first administrative role as Dean of Students. Congratulations, Stephanie.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Section 6, Finance and Personnel Committee with Ms. Reyes.
Thank you, President Cifuentes. Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Bienvenidos. The Finance Personnel Committee meeting was held on Monday, July 6, 2026, here at the Admin Center and was called to order at 5:30. There were no public comments that night. Dr. Engel presented the district's donations and the May 2026 financial reports, and we all agreed that both were in order. He also reviewed the proposed fiscal year 27 budget timeline, as he did just moments ago. The tentative budget was presented just moments ago again, followed by a public display beginning August 10. A public hearing and final budget adoption are scheduled for September 21st. The committee confirmed that the proposed timeline complies with all statutory budget requirements. An update was also provided on the implementation of the Bentec Benefits Administration System. The project remains on schedule for completion by September in preparation for the November open enrollment period. Bentec will integrate employee benefit elections with payroll and Skyward, improving accuracy, streamlining enrollment, and reducing manual processes. Dr. Engel also updated the committee on the district's new commercial insurance program through the Joint Click Cooperative. The new program expands liability coverage, lowers deductibles for common claims, adds nurse triage services for workplace injuries, and includes district-wide student accident insurance at no cost to families. Overall, the program is expected to save the district nearly $500,000 annually. The committee also received an update on employee health insurance renewals. Gallagher Benefits and Blue Cross Blue Shield are currently reviewing the district's claim history, with renewal recommendations expected later this month before being presented to the board. We were then presented with a revised job description by Ms. Swartzloff that renames the Public Relations Officer position to Director of Communications to better reflect the strategic responsibilities of the role. The proposal also includes an updated salary range to remain competitive with comparable districts and will be presented for board approval momentarily. Finally, Ms. Swartzloff presented proposed wage updates for miscellaneous positions not covered by collective bargaining agreements. The proposal establishes an annual review process and includes adjustments to long-term substitute teacher pay, temporary worker rates, school psychologist internship stipends, compensation for athletic event workers, and hourly rates for lunch supervisors, traffic monitors, and crossing guards. The committee expressed support for consolidating these wage rates into a single annual schedule for future review. The meeting then adjourned at 5:46 p.m. that evening. And there are a few motion items for tonight. 6.B.1, motion to approve miscellaneous wages for 2026-2027.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Secretary, call the roll, please.
Moreno,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Reyes,
Yes.
Cifuentes.
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes.
6.B.2, motion to approve Director of Communications job descriptions and salary range.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Secretary, call the roll, please.
Loveshay. Reyes,
Yes.
Cifuentes.
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes.
Okay, the next Finance and Personnel Committee meeting will be held on Monday, August 3rd, 2026, here at the Admin Center at 5:30 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Correction, it'll be August 10th.
Oh,
So
sorry.
for the month of August, due to the school starting, we've kind of shifted a couple of the meetings.
Okay. Correction, Monday, August 10th,
The board meetings for August.
5:30 p.m.
I apologize. The board meetings for August will be August 10th and August 24th because August 17th is our first day back there. So we did change that for the upcoming year. So
Thank you.
yep.
All right, moving on to section 7, Curriculum and Programs Committee with Ms. Valencia.
The Curriculum Committee meeting met this evening, Monday, July 20th, at 6 p.m. here at the Admin Center. Our next meeting will be August 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here at the Admin Center. I will be providing a overview of what was discussed today during our next regular board meeting on August 10th.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Building and Grounds Committee with Mr. Lofshay.
Thank you, President. We met on July 6th here, 6 o'clock. Our next meeting is August 10th. Let's see, so Mr. Allen did a lot of the talking like he always did. He gave us a summer project update that many of the projects are ahead of schedule, which is kind of nice. We had approved $30,000 to get a skid steer, and unfortunately we couldn't find one. The one that he had targeted was sold. So we, the committee agreed to up it to 40,000, and that will be an action item in a minute here. East Aurora High School, Mr. Allen reported that the Phase 2 HVAC and remodeling project is requesting the replacement of current office furniture and desks. He stated the furniture is really old and nearing its, needs to be replaced. So he got quotes via the state cooperative program, and I don't think we're going to vote on it. We're not voting on it tonight, but straight to the board that night. That's right. Okay. Didn't say that. Road improvements, Benavides STEAM Academy and Early Childhood Center. Mr. Allen reported the area off Mitchell Road, which is used by the business center every day, was in need of multiple repairs. And he worked with the Consumer Credit Union, which finally these repairs got done, which was long overdue. So thank you. Let's see. We talked about a resolution to dispose of server racks, which Mr. Allen isn't always just throwing them away. He's recycling them as much as he can, or giving them away or selling them. That will be an action item. And then work order summary that they continue to improve. So we have two action items. The first, I need a motion to approve the purchase of a used skid steer, either through an auction or from a dealership, for an amount not to exceed $40,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Secretary, call the roll, please.
Reyes,
Yes.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Cifuentes.
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes.
And secondly, we need a motion to approve the resolution for disposal of personal property server racks.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Secretary, call the roll, please.
Moreno,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Cifuentes,
Yes.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Reyes,
Yes.
All right, moving on to executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Secretary, call the roll, please.
Reyes,
Yes.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Cifuentes,
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes. No action will be taken after the executive session. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Motion to reconvene from executive session.
Move.
Second.
Secretary, call the roll, please.
Reyes,
Yes.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Cifuentes,
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes. Motion to adjourn. To move.
Second.
Secretary, call the roll, please.
Loveshay,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Olivas,
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Cifuentes,
Yes.
Reyes,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Nice.